Thrill me.
You know, there's gorillas in these woods.
Mortis, what's that?
It's all in the reflexes.
Chicken's good. I like chicken.
I'd buy that for $1.
Die in the way.
Die in the wind.
Oh, wait. Was she a great big fat person?
I drink your milkshake.
Carpet Day!
You make me want to be a better man.
I'm running this monkey farm now, Frankenstein, and I want to know what the fuck you're doing with my time!
See you at the party, Richter.
All right, Adam, this is a very new special series on the Not For Everyone podcast in which you and myself will be interviewing a friend on the fringe.
Yeah.
Friends on the Fringe, also known as...
Fringe with benefits.
Fringe with benefits.
How many times are we going to say that?
Is it possible to have a platonic hand job between three grown men over a Zoom call?
We're going to find out.
Michael Brown. Michael Brown is a ghost. How do you describe it? A ghost investigator?
That looks better. Paranormal investigator is such a clumsy freaking phrase, but I mean, that kind of is the best. It's the best word for it, unfortunately.
But it's what people know it as.
Are you a debunker? I mean, are you more a debunker than a verifier?
That's a great question, and it depends on what's going on, because the way we sort of do things is like kind of existing in two different modes. One mode is public ghost hunts, fundraisers, investigating a public location, anything that's going to be not a private case. You know, the other mode would be a private case. Somebody's like legitimately scared in their house or their business or whatever.
That's a private case.
And
but what about like
yeah.
in the movie Ghostbusters? When he's like, hey, you should see the cockroaches. Like, was that be a public case or a private case?
It's a big cockroach.
That's the one.
It's a big Twinkie.
Bite your freaking head off.
I don't know what your question. I don't think anyone knows what your question was, Adam. Let's be a little more concise there, please.
Is it a public or is it a private matter when you're in a big fancy hotel? Have you ever been to a big fancy hotel to investigate?
That's normally a public thing. That's usually, people from the public coming in. Most of them have not ever investigated before, and they want to come in and use the equipment and learn how we do it and stuff like that.
Okay, let's rewind a little bit, because Adam, there's a format to an interview, so I just want to finish introducing Michael here before we jump into the real meat and potatoes of this episode of
Fringe with Benefits.
Fringe with Benefits. Michael Brown. You are a paranormal investigator. Before we get into it, you have a podcast, or like, where can people find you if they want to follow you or follow your work?
I am currently working on my second podcast. My first podcast is called Paranormal Brew. My good friend Taryn is still doing that. That's like her gig now. She's on YouTube. You can find her on there. We started that show up. And that was her thing. It got to a point where it was like, this is Taryn's show. So she took it and ran with it, and she's killing it. And I'm currently I'm recording actually right now a series for the Bunker podcast. I stepped away from Paranormal Brew because that show was all paranormal. It was all the paranormal groups. It was, talking to Jason Hawes and Steve Gonzalez and all those guys, which is great. I mean, those guys are great. But I wanted to expand the show and go into different topics of super weird stuff like John Keel and high strangeness, and and broadening the net, as it were. And And so yes, I'm currently actually recording a series on the Jersey Devil, but the actual like a deep dive into the history of the actual thing, like where that legend actually came from. It's pretty cool.
Nice.
Now, Michael, can you explain to my co-host Adam how much work it is to edit a series or a podcast, and it's not work to be taken lightly or for granted?
It is a nightmare. It's
Imagine trying to record with me.
It's a lot of work, and especially if you're dealing with, you know, something of historical significance, or you really, I mean, you don't want to get something wrong. You have to, the research is insane. You start recording, something doesn't sound right. You're like, you know, you want to keep redoing shit, and like, oh, I missed this point, so I got to re-edit and do this. It's a nightmare.
It's a lot of work, Adam. Keep that in mind whenever we're recording podcasts.
It sounds like it. Oh.
It's a lot of work. Okay, cool. So, Michael, I know you fairly well from internet as far as internet friends go. You've been into this for like 25 years. Is that about right?
I have been always fascinated with, like, you know, growing up with In Search Of and stuff, and all the, you know, Dr. Spock's fear mongering, and that all that stuff. I was always interested in the topic. It was about 2000. It was around 2000. I moved into a crazy old house built in 1776, and it was one of those houses that was, you know, had that reputation. You grew up in the town hearing these stories about all these hauntings and stuff, right? And I was always interested in that stuff. I moved into that house with my ex and my two daughters, and the activity was immediate. I mean, there'd be like door slamming. We would see lights turn off right in front of us. Like you'd hear the pull chain click, 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 clink, and you'd like go over to the light and you see the chain moving. Several times we saw what we thought was one of our daughters out of bed running around in the house, like late at night, like midnight. And we're like, what the hell are they doing up? And that happened several times. And I remember specifically going through the room trying to find them, not able to find them. And as I'm going upstairs to check on them in their bed, that's when your brain catches up and you realize that, like, oh, wait a minute, I didn't hear the floor creaking. I didn't hear that pop over there by the stairwell. You know, like that was an old house. It was you couldn't walk around there without making crazy noise. And we didn't hear any of it, but we swore up and down, both of us, that our daughter was out of bed running around. So we run from the dining room into the living room, and there's no one in sight. We don't hear any movement, no doors opening or closing, nothing. It's just silence. Go upstairs, and both girls are sound asleep in bed. That happened multiple times.
It's so weird when it's like something to do with your kids, I imagine, too, where you're like, what is, like, that's like a that's a forbidden, that's just...
So you're a believer is what you're saying.
I am now. And when I started this whole thing, like, I really didn't believe it. Like that's why I joined the group shortly after that, and wanted to get trained up, because this was right around the time Ghost Hunter started to get big, and I was like, oh my, there's like groups out doing this like professionally. This is crazy. So I went online, I looked around, there was a group in South Jersey. I was like, oh, that's cool. I sent in an application. There's a whole interview process and everything. I was accepted, and I began training. The training was like almost a year. It was like 11 months and change. And it was, you know, they taught us everything from, like, you know, how to interview a client, you know, different things to look for, you know, how to use all the equipment, obviously, how to write reports, how to record audio. There was a whole format for every file that you saved, so that it would have like date and time stamped and all this stuff. It was like really, really involved. And the more I did it, the more time I spent, you know, in abandoned asylums in the middle of the night in the complete darkness, the more things you experience, the more you believe. And it was like a slow, the thing is, in the beginning, I didn't believe in psychics, and I almost didn't join the group that I joined, because I found out they did use psychics. I was like, oh man, what? Come on. You know, I met some hucksters over the years.
You're open to ghosts, but psychics is where you drew the line.
You draw a line.
I mean, I never.
You got to draw a line in somewhere.
I met many people that claimed to be that really never impressed me or did anything, anything that.
I met a ton of people that tell me they're empaths. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's called 20-something liberal mental illness of college girls.
Possibly.
Possibly. It's good chance. Good chance.
Here's a question. You've seen the things, or you've had experiences. So why the hell does Ghost Hunters never catch any of what you just experienced? Like your house, I've never seen an episode of Ghost Hunters like, oh yeah, there's some shit going on here.
It was few and far between, and honestly, that's pretty much how it really is. I mean, when you catch crazy evidence, it is few and far between. I sent Bobby, I don't know, like just a handful of pictures. I mean, that's the result of probably 20 to 30,000 pictures with fucking nothing in it.
I want to see the pictures.
Yeah, I'm about hold on, I'm about to
share them with the group.
For whatever reason, the audio evidence seems to be more prevalent.
Okay, what are we looking at right here?
Okay, so what we're looking at here is that there's a girl in the fleece that's illuminated in red from the light source. Here is this piece of equipment over here with the red numbers on it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, standing in this room, this is a boathouse in I'm trying to think of the name of the town, Mattawan, maybe. I can't remember. Jersey Shore, abandoned old summer camp. This is in the boathouse, and beginning with that
lake.
It was very similar, but it was on the bay. It was a beautiful place. But this woman illuminated in red here is the last person in the circle, and you can see another girl standing to her left, our right.
Yeah.
And there's a circle up there out of frame, but there's a circle of people going around in a half circle, and I'm on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I'm standing by the door. Now,
is this you right here?
What's up?
Are you in the photo?
No, I'm taking the pictures.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. All right.
Yeah,
that's not going to work, Bobby.
all right.
He's the ghost. This is like the Sixth Sense. Yeah, he was the ghost. You're the ghost the whole time, Michael.
You're killing momentum here, Adam.
But so this the girl illuminated in red here is a psychic development student of Beth's, and excuse me, and at this point she says, I feel someone standing next to me. It feels like someone tall, and I sense it's a male. And so Beth is like, okay, great. Someone, start taking pictures, because that's a thing. If anybody feels anything, you hear anything, see something, a piece of equipment goes off, start taking pictures, start recording. You want to try to get as much evidence as possible, right? So I just pick up my cell phone, it was in my hand, and I just start snapping pictures. Now, this figure to her right should not be there, because
right here. Right here.
Oh, that one.
That's like not a person that
That's not. No. and in fact,
why does it have no face?
I tried to. Well, there's several images that are in the series. Now, what I can't.
Should I go to the next one?
Not quite yet.
Okay.
I just want to say that what you can't see here, because we're in the dark, is that where that individual, whatever that is standing, is literally like lawnmower blades, like all kinds of like parts of engines. And in fact, they actually told us not to go over there because there's like actually Paul Newman has two boats in there. There's two boats sitting like to our left, and there's a bunch of parts all laying around.
Wait, this is Paul Newman's boat garage?
There was two of his boats that had his name on it. It's weird.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah. And so there shouldn't, like, you couldn't have stood there, is my point. Like you would have been like stepping on tools and blades and sharp. It was a mess. Like there's no way someone could be standing there.
Let me just describe this for the folks listening. Like, I mean, I'm all okay. Dude, remind me. I want to talk to you about how because you told me offline that you do your due diligence to filter out the kooks and try to find Occam's razor, the most reasonable explanation for certain things and whatnot. Like, you guys aren't just seeing ghosts everywhere, right? Like, there's like an integrity to this, correct?
Yeah.
So
it's like the ghost tour we went to in Austin.
There was no integrity with that. That was all. That was
you see those shadows out there? Those are ancient Indian spirits. Every one of those shadows.
Like, there's a ghost. There's a ghost. Yeah. There's a ghost. Anyway, so based on what you're telling me, since these actual anomalous situations happen so rarely, when I go on the ghost tour with Adam at Halloween of 2020, which was a fun trip outside that year.
Good time. It's a good time.
This guy was just giving us a little parade of fun there. Okay. So
in this picture that appears to be like a dude's face, you zoom in and it's like blurry features. There's like a hand there.
Like I'm trying to chalk this up to pareidolia as much as I can, but like the proportions make sense. Like, there's clearly some eyes here. Eyes match up with ears. There's like a little ear here. a clear chin, kind of blurrily fusing into a neckline, and then there's like a hand right where a hand would be, maybe going into a pocket. So yeah, that's bizarro. So what are you guys looking at here, or are you just taking a picture?
At this point, I didn't even notice those images at the time. I just like picked up my phone, I got her in the frame, and when I wanted to get to her right, because that's where she said that she was feeling something.
Whoa!
So I wanted to just get that into the frame, and I just started snapping pictures.
So were you able to go back after you took this picture to see if you could line this up with something by chance, like something? I mean, it's clearly a face. I don't know. Like, it's almost not even worth it to.
Yeah,
it looks like a dude to me.
And a friend of mine took it, and I sent him the original images, and he like jacked up the brightness and stuff, and you can actually see like coat buttons going down.
It kind of looks like the National Enquirer Bat Boy.
Yeah, I was gonna say he looks kind of vampiric with that ear. It could be a Strigoi, a Nosferatu.
Maybe he's wearing a top hat here. I'm not sure.
It could be a New Jersey, New Jersey vampire.
Yeah, Batman or something.
Yeah, that's creepy. And are we this thing down here? Are we saying that that's perhaps like his hand coming out of a sleeve or something?
That's what it looks like to me, just based on I'm looking at his face, and just basically looking at how someone would appear if they're facing you that way. That looks like his hand sticking out to me. Yeah, it lines up.
Let me put this into perspective for folks listening. Like, when you sent me these images, I was like, what is weird about this? And the reason I thought that is because I literally thought that this was just a dude, like one of your pals standing there.
Yep.
One of your fellow ghost investigators. That's Bill and Jeff on the right here. Now, this is a person.
Yes, that's another investigator standing there.
Now, let me just point this out about this real person that's a verified person. The angle and the depth of the shot you took, I mean, the blur of the face is almost identical, consistent with the ghost blurred face, right? You know what I'm saying? So like, it's not like this is just some anomalous pareidolia thing going on, because we have a frame of reference of what a real person standing there looks like, and it matches up pretty much identically as far as the camera blur goes. Wow.
Yeah, it's very, very similar. Yeah.
That's wild, dude. Okay.
Yeah,
that's creepy as shit, bro.
And after we had taken the series of pictures, we went back inside, and there was like a big our home base was kind of like this like auditorium kind of room. We all went back there, taking a break and sitting down, and that's when I flipped through the pictures, and then that's when I noticed it, and I was like, what the hell? And we had an event that day, and there was an event during the day, and then we had investigations at night, and so like the board of directors was there, and there was like I think there were someone from the media was there, and it was cool because we could I noticed them right then. So we were like, let's go back there and see. And we couldn't see anything in that room that would match what that looks like. And to me, when you get the whole, and one of the things that as an investigator you do, you never take one picture. You always just take a series. You want to take a whole bunch of pictures. You just take, if you're going to be taking pictures, take pictures constantly all over the place, everywhere, and you might get lucky and catch something. And so when you see the series of these, to me, it's more impressive.
Which is this is 1328. Okay, that's that one. Hold on.
It's the same picture.
Because I just kept snapping.
Whoa!
And yes,
it's more different. This looks like a New Jersey Goomba ghost.
It does.
He's wearing a backwards Jersey Devils hat. And he's eating a Philly cheesesteak because you guys.
I mean, that's obviously like a vampire claw hand. I mean, no, that's a face. That's a dude.
That's clearly a face. So if I'm going to say this right now. I trust Michael Brown. He is not a kook.
Go to the next picture.
Okay. So if we're going off of, hold on. I'm not here to debunk anything. Now he's turned into his. This is like a profile almost.
Yeah, you can see this. He's moving, so you can see this whole.
It's almost creepier.
Almost like he's turning away from the camera. Maybe I'm not sure.
Yeah, because
cameras steal your souls.
That's true.
All right, go to the next one.
Let's go to this. So for folks listening, this is our first live stream. I'm going to have this on YouTube eventually. It's unlisted currently, but it'll go up. Yeah, this is. I think is this the one we already looked at? No. This is very similar.
Dude, look at the hand, man. Look at the definition on the fingers.
It's clearly a hand. Clearly a collar going on here.
Yep.
Wow.
So did you look into whether there were any like unexplained deaths, like drownings of children while the camp counselors were screwing or something,
Well, I mentioned a minute ago that the board of directors was there,
Yeah.
and when we showed her the pictures, she was like flabbergasted. She was like, "Oh my God." She said that the gentleman that was the groundskeeper
Mhm.
that
Willie.
property, and I believe his name was Bill. He
Willie,
It is
groundskeeper
Bill.
Willie.
No,
Of
you
course
said
it was.
didn't you say Bill earlier, or did I say Bill?
someone
said
said
Bill.
Bill. So I
Someone
was like,
said
"Whoa."
Bill. Well,
I
it
said
sounds like
Jeff.
now, Michael, is Bill in the room with us right now? Is he on the Zoom call?
No.
No.
Okay. let me rewind a little bit. So you say you've always been kind of interested in this stuff. That's kind of where I land. Is like, people think I'm a kooky guy. That's fine. I don't really care anymore. It's not so much that I like necessarily immediately believe in everything I hear, but I'm not going to dismiss it. Like, I'm interested in the unknown, and I'm interested in, I think that humans in general are very arrogant in thinking that they have it all figured out, which is historically just insane to think that way. So I'm just generally agnostic on stuff like this, but it's not so much that it's not about so much about like whether it's real or not. That doesn't really make a difference for me. It's like the fact that it's a phenomenon in the first place that I'm interested in, right? So you were kind of at least semi-interested in this stuff with Leonard Nimoy and In Search of and all that stuff. You had that experience in your house in the early 2000s. Did you, prior to that experience that you had that drove you into this line of work, like, were you a believer prior to that, or were you just kind of like, whatever, it's cool, but I don't know? Like, talk to me about like the transition from your belief into where you are today.
Yeah, like I said, I always was interested in the strange, the weird, abandoned places. I was always, exploring abandoned houses growing up as a kid. And, yeah, absolutely.
We were always getting high in abandoned houses. That's similar, I guess.
Well, that happens too. And
it's a gateway drug.
Yeah, absolutely. But the thing is, to me, you don't, until you experience something crazy in your face, you're not really ever going to believe. Even if you want to believe and you think you're open-minded to it, you don't really fully believe it until something crazy happens, in front of you.
So that's a great segue because, I'm always torn on this. I always hear like you have to be open to experiences to actually experience things. And I think there's something to that. But you hear countless times people that were like, whether it be Bigfoot, UFOs, ghosts, whatever it is, people like, I had no interest in this. I had no belief in this, and this happened to me. So like,
shit happened.
Any thoughts on like the psychological manifestation of things based on whether or not, or the degree in which you're a believer in this stuff?
It's a great
I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
It's a great question.
I guess what are the conditions to be, if any, to be susceptible to this stuff? Is another way of putting it.
I think the way that we were taught in training was that everyone is psychic. They told us that. They hammered it to our heads. They repeated it all the time. Everyone's psychic to a degree. Everyone has something. If there's certain people that you can, like if an argument just took place in the room and you walk into the room, you kind of feel like, oh, what's going on here? It feels a little weird.
Yeah.
And there's different degrees to it. And I think that if you exercise those things, just like you go into the gym, exercise your muscles, I think the more time you spend in the dark, not using your eyes and just listening, like your hearing will improve and you'll get better. And there was an exercise they taught us in training too. It was like, go to a diner when it's like rush hour, super busy, and go and sit down, have a meal, and try and focus in on as many different conversations taking place in the diner as you possibly can and follow the conversation. And that was kind of an exercise to exercise your hearing, because a lot of this stuff with a lot of these EVPs that come through, sometimes the vast majority of the time you'll hear a weird whisper or a breath or a breathy word or something like that. But sometimes they're so clear that it just sounds like another person in the room and you could easily miss it.
Yeah.
And so going through audio is like it's a torturous process rather, because you can't miss anything. You can't doze off. You can't eat. You have to be like really focused in
paying attention.
paying attention to where everyone is in the room. You know, like I try to listen to the audio almost immediately after the case, so I can, it's still fresh in my mind and I can remember, oh, so and so in that room. Okay, that, you know, she dropped her flashlight over there. Okay, cool. You know, but the more that you do this and the more time you spend in these, like, you know, Penhurst, for example, the more time you spend there, like, I think eventually you're going to experience something. I think some people are just closed off to it and won't ever experience it. You know, maybe they're blessed. I don't know, but to me, you never really fully believe until you experience it. And what the mechanism is, I'm not sure. I think it's about, it has something to do with consciousness and awareness, because certain people can go through life and, you know, they can go like through, you know, they can take a walk through the park, for example, and be on their cell phone, listening to music, thinking about whatever, planning something. They're not paying attention to the squirrel over there that just jumped off the tree and the squirrel, you know, the cat came out and chased them. Like, that stuff's happening, but you're not noticing because you're not tuned into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that certain people are gifted and very, very sensitive to reading people and reading, like, sort of the energy of a room, the energy of a house. I mean, like I said, when I first joined this group, I didn't believe in, I wanted to tech. I wanted to prove it. I wanted to, you know, set up the equipment. I wanted to get recordings and video. And so I was all about that stuff. And I started hanging out with Beth, and she, you know, I even did an episode on this. She's the one that made me a believer, because I would feel something weird. She would say, yeah, she would validate it. She would go into a room, get a name of a person, describe what year they're from, what their basic role was there, you know, and not knowing anything about the place. And then I'd be the one afterwards that would go in and look at the history and find,
that's all true,
and find the name of this person in the right time period. You know, with this person was a landlord in the 1850s, or the name was Charlotte, and this, that, and the other thing. And I saw her do that so many times that, like, I couldn't help but believe it. And then and it's almost like the more time I spent around her too, like, the more sensitive I got.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true or not.
I got something with the whole everybody's psychic thing, right? My whole life, sometimes you, like, go in a room, and I always kind of thought it was like a feeling like I'm not supposed to be in here. You know what I mean? Like, I go in my grandma's room or something when she's not around, I get like this weird kind of uncomfortable feeling. You know what I mean? And it happened to me recently. I like going to, like, thrift stores and antique stores and shit like that. So I'm just wandering around some antique store, and I go in just this one particular room, and I just get the chills. I'm like, what in the fuck? There's like some odd feeling. And I walk out of there and it goes away. And I walk into another place that, like, looks creepier. It should have been more, but it wasn't. You know, it was just like that one particular spot that I went in there. I'm like, is there like a cursed item in here? Am I, like, picking up vibes on, like, weird, like, monkey paws or some shit? You know what I mean? So is that kind of what you're referring to there?
Yeah. And in fact, that's one of the coolest things about having joined that group, was that one of the things we try to do is you try to double, triple validate anything, like a piece of evidence, a feeling, anything, right? So, like, for example, you said you walk into a certain room, you got, like, lightheaded, or you felt weird, or like, oh, we shouldn't be in here. You just get uncomfortable and you want to leave.
Some weird kind of, like,
I feel that way at work every day. Every time I walk into the office,
that's
I'm
just
like,
like, you hate your job.
Everything is so dead and creepy in here.
Same.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, but what we're trained to do is to, like, not say anything out loud. Just like, okay, just note that. If you want to write it down or whatever, walk out of the space, feeling goes away. Okay, so there's something in there that's making me feel weird. So then you grab another investigator. Okay, could you do me a favor? Just go in there and just check out that room for me. Yeah, cool. They go in there and they come back out. Oh, it's weird. I felt dizzy in this one spot. Oh, interesting. So that's just one technique we use to, like, kind of verify.
So
stuff.
It sounds like you're trying to.
I'm psychic. That's what it sounds like.
You don't want to lead the witness, or necessarily insinuate something's going on to your fellow ghost investigators in the moment, and then you guys kind of compare notes of what you picked up on later on or whatever. Is that more or less what you're talking about?
Yeah, ideally, if we're going into a place, like, sometimes there'll need to be someone that does some research on the place. Okay. Just to see, like, who lives there, what's the situation, you know, especially a private case. You want to know everything. We actually have I feel like it's 54 questions on a questionnaire we send out to the client that they have to fill out and send back to us before we go out there because we wouldn't know what we're walking into. I mean, we might be walking into a opium den. We have no idea what's going on, you know.
crack house.
Yeah.
How many opium dens have you walked into?
Yeah, how many times has it just been like homeless people like banging on pipes and like getting high?
There's a couple places in Philly that were real dodgy.
Well, it is New Jersey. We can't talk. We're in Texas. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Forget about it.
Philly too, man. We investigated a museum in Philly that was like, it was like Beirut, dude. It was insane.
Jesus.
Like in terms of like the bums, or in terms of the ghosts?
But just the neighborhood was just.
Gotcha. It was a museum.
Yeah.
Wow. Oof.
Yeah.
I guess they're cultured too.
Yeah, it's a Civil War museum. It's in a real sketchy part of town, man.
Right.
But what I was getting at there is, you have your kind of method to the madness of like kind of verifying certain things within the group, and like a whole methodology to that. Like, if you were to say, like, let's say you walk into a room, you feel weird on an investigation, and you go and tell your buddy, hey, go check out that room. Would they instinctively think like, oh, he's telling me to go check out that room because he felt something, and then you're kind of placebo him into that same, you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say? Like, is there a way to like fail safe, like inspiring the feeling onto your fellow investigator, if that makes sense?
Aren't you like giving him a hint by saying, hey, go walk around in there?
Right. It could be, yeah. If you're a bad liar and you're like, oh man, go over there and check that. You know what I mean? Like, you're already making them feel like, oh shit, what's going on in there?
Yeah.
Another technique would be to like, you go into a certain area, you get that feeling, write it down. You go and you tell an investigator somewhere like on the sly. And then throughout the rest of the investigation, everyone's writing the reports down. And so what the team leader would do is like take all the reports of all the investigators, put it all together, and then write a whole timeline of all the events that happened and find all the consistencies, like log all the pieces of possible evidence in the time frame, and it draws like a whole timeline. And what you can do at the end is you look at all the different reports and you see like, oh, so and so said, oh, they walked in that room at the foot of the bed, they felt dizzy, and then, oh, this other team came in an hour later, they said the same thing, the same spot. So that was another way, and that was a lot of people didn't like filling out the reports because it was like a police report. You had to like log, keep track of every. Yeah, it's
just like homework at that point.
I love doing it personally, but a lot of people didn't like it. But
it's investigation. That sounds
like the crux of like verifying evidence. Like you have to do that.
No, they want old Patrick Wilson and what's her fuck to walk in and be like, "There's ghosts."
Yeah. What are the
Conjuring?
Yeah. What are that? That's
Warren.
Ed and Lorraine Warren. Are they legit?
I don't think so.
You don't think
so? On like the circuit of the investigator circuit, do they like Ed and Lorraine aren't like really thought of as real kosher?
They're like the Milli Vanilli of ghost hunting.
They used to be.
Blame it on the rain.
They used to be held up like on pedestals, but years and years ago. I think a lot more people are hip to the first of all, the Hollywood bullshit added a bunch of crap to it that just did not belong there. Yeah. But they did the same thing, and it was pretty obvious that they exaggerated things. There's some of their most famous photos from the
girls jumping.
From there's a picture of the kid in the stairwell, the glowing eyes or whatever, like that. Like one of the guys on their team looks just like that. And if you're wearing glasses and you catch the glare like just right, like you can see it looks like your eyes are glowing. So someone took a infrared picture, and I think like the infrared light hit his lens of those glasses, and it makes it look like his eyes are glowing. But I mean, if you look at the guy on their team and you look at that picture, it looks like he's leaning down. Maybe he's setting up microphones or something.
That guy, it's Jeff. It was Jeff that did it.
I don't want to turn this into an Ed and Lorraine skepticism session. However, I am curious.
Yeah, they're burning in hell.
People, no matter what the fringe with benefits topic might be, do you think like the top level, celebrities, for lack of a better word, in these worlds, do you get the feeling that do they believe, like, let's say Ed and Lorraine are full of shit, do you think that they believe their own bullshit, if that makes sense?
You know what I think a lot of it is that people have, especially if you're into investigating and you're really religious, for example, everything that happens, every report that you get, it's going to be filtered through that framework.
Sure.
And so if someone sees a big black shadow, and I've seen people literally do this, they go straight to demon because this is big black scary thing. Well, if you see that through a certain frame of reference, like that's where your head's going to go. That's what you think is going to happen.
Right.
And that's a huge, huge thing with doing private cases. And like I described before, those two worlds, there's the public, like investigations you do for fun. Essentially, you try out new things, you try experiments, you try out new equipment, try to catch evidence. Then there's the private case side of it, and that's where you go in and you try to debunk everything. If you can possibly you debunk everything, because they're calling you in. They're terrified. They were seriously terrified, especially if there's kids involved, and the kids pick up on the fear from their parents, and that just in and of itself makes an awful situation, and it could even seems to make, actually, if there's legit activity going on, it seems to make it worse and more intense.
Well, how many times have it been like, hey, sorry, your house is fucked?
Or how many times has it been like, hey, sorry, your house is not haunted. You just have a terrible emotional dynamic with your family, and it's
and you have rats. You have rats and a terrible emotional dynamic.
And then you have weird plumbing. Anything like, I guess.
How many times do you have to tell somebody they're in a codependent relationship and it's not ghosts?
See, Beth handles that. She's amazing at doing that.
Leave it to the women to handle that. Yeah.
And no, I'm telling you, like she tells people this all the time. She's like, you can create your own negative energy and your own negative entities, and they will be seen by other people.
Yes.
And it will affect stuff. It will scratch you. It will physically, move things in the environment. It's definitely,
but that's all you, bitch. You did that.
No, but on some level, what you're getting at, on some level, I think, at least on some level, you can almost, you don't have to call it ghosts. Like, you can conjure in some sort of, paranormal entity, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what to call it, but like some sort of experience based on, you know how they say, like, if you give something a name, or if you invite the vampire into your house or whatever, like, you're basically manifesting it within your own subjective reality, but other people can share within that subjective reality once you give it more and more legitimacy. Is there something to that, do you think?
Absolutely. I think, yeah. If you pour enough emotional energy into it, whether that's negative or positive, but just loads and loads of energy and thought and intent into it, I think you can cause changes in your environment.
Yeah, because there's I forgot the study. I was going to research it before we jumped on this call, but maybe you're familiar with it. There's a team that tested this where they basically sat down and they made up their own ghost, right? They made up a completely fictional ghost.
Yeah.
And then they tried to more or less summon it and see if they could get it, based on the story and the narrative they built around this guy. They got some actual response from it.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you were talking about manifesting, or or everyone's psychic, I think is what you said earlier. It's almost like it's a projection of your own consciousness that can be manifested and interpreted by people around you based on your emotional state or their emotional state or whatever it is. So I guess it's like a chicken or the egg thing. It's like, is this place haunted? Or are these people more vulnerable to this haunting than other people? Or, like, if you look at the Amityville case, like, people have lived in that house since that famous incident, and they're like, no, it's fine. Like, don't even worry about it. And it's like, well, if you look at the history of that family, it's all like I think the father was very abusive. I don't know. You're probably more of an expert, but it wasn't a great ideal family situation. And it's like, oh yeah, the negative energy kind of just imploded on itself, and everyone started feeling these crazy experiences.
Well, I guess my question then is, what's the difference between the psychically manifested entities and when there's a real, honest to Joe fucking ghost that's been there since 1842?
Or are they even different in the first place?
Right.
Yeah, there might not be any difference. That's the thing.
Well, if we go back to like the photo, and there was a ghost vampire Jersey Devil boy there, right? maybe was she like projecting him out of her mind, or is that because of a haunting? He was groundskeeper Willie that died there, or is there just no way to differentiate?
Well, in this case, I mentioned earlier, I showed this to the board of directors, and she was like, she looked at the picture, she was like, "Oh my God, that's Bill." And we were like, "Who the hell's Bill?" And Bill was the groundskeeper for that camp up until the point it closed. He had passed away, I think, 3 or 4 months before this investigation. And this boathouse was where he kept his lawnmowers, and in fact, we did an EVP session earlier, and this woman, I forget her name. God, she was the board of directors. I forget her name. We'll just call her Linda. She was asking questions to Bill because apparently they were looking for some kind of tool that only he would know where it was, and they couldn't find it. And so she was in this EVP session. It was brilliant, actually. She started asking Bill, "Hey, where can you find this thing?" And we're looking, and this was the area where he kept all his tools, and this is where he would have hung out. So it was cool to capture this photo.
Did they find the tool?
And I'm not sure if they ever did. But
he was pointing. He's pointing. His hand was pointing at it.
He's like, "It's right there."
You mentioned earlier that, when Adam was talking about TV shows and ghost hunters and how it's, they have to kind of like tell a story and kind of stretch the evidence or whatever. You were mentioning that like it is actually very rare and very few and far between to run into something, a piece of like tangible evidence. Like, what does that feel like whenever you've gone through multiple investigations? It's just a complete fucking dry spell. And then you're just scrolling through your camera one day and you see Bill here and you're like, "Oh my God, like, what is that?" And that's got to be like wicked exciting.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. And there seemed to be over the years, like certain people just had a certain affinity for certain pieces of equipment. Like there were people that would always have a camera with them and they would have a lot of success with the camera, but they would never record. Or if they did, they would never catch any audio evidence. But then there was other people, like me, I just seemed to have a knack for always catching audio evidence. And so that just seemed to be my thing. It just seemed to be like, I was so excited when I saw these images because the place was active. We were hearing slamming doors and there was like a lot of other crazy activity. That day leading up to before the investigation even. And so, I mean, it was creepy because it was this abandoned camp. It looked like, it did look like Camp Crystal Lake. We actually ended up sleeping there. Nice. on cots in these old dusty, moldy buildings. And, I had taken at this point, I mean, like I said, thousands and thousands of pictures with just nothing in it that looked like anything. And when I caught this, I was like, because it was fresh in my mind because the woman just said, "Please no one go back there because it's just too dangerous. There's all these sharp tools and stuff laying around. So please don't go there." And this girl, I think her name is Skylar, is standing like right on the edge. And I wish it was more light so you could see it, but you have to take my word for it.
Well, we might not have been able to see Bill if there was
physically
more light,
no way for anyone to even be standing there.
Wow.
It's wild.
It's wild.
Talk about I think
it's the first actual ghost picture I've ever seen.
Not so much, I guess, the more conventional scientific preparation. Is there any kind of like spiritual rituals or preparations you guys do, and
a sauna,
like a talisman Indian type thing,
smoke room,
and then also kind of related to that,
peyote.
All right. Also, in addition to that, is there a sect of these investigators that primarily focus on the darker demonic stuff versus just your casual haunting investigation? Like, how does that all hash out?
I've seen it set up this way with a couple different groups, and it's how it was in the group I was in. Was that there was a special team they called in our case it was called the SRT, the Special Reaction Team they called it, and that was all of the negative cases like the possible oppression, possession kind of stuff, and they did have a gentleman who was a priest, had a collar, spoke Latin, did the whole Roman ritual and stuff, and they would call on him sometimes, and I wasn't a part of that part of the group, so I didn't really mess with that stuff, but they would basically choose of the group like the most level-headed people, the people that were not easily frightened, like people they were pretty stoic for the most part with like normal cases that the director knew would be able to handle something real negative. And that's so he would pick those people from the group to handle those special cases. And it was kind of like its own entity. But we had speaking of which, we had a case a couple years ago, and they called in Beth and I just for some extra hands to handle the case. And we showed up to the case. I grabbed my equipment and a couple pieces of equipment. I walk inside and I see like all the religious items all spread out across the kitchen table, and the dude's putting his collar on, and there's Bibles and all like holy water. And I was like, oh man, this is all right. This is going to be serious. And so I was just kind of staying back, letting them do their thing. And I spoke to one of the other investigators because it's the first time I had been there. And I said, has anybody did an EMF sweep in here? And they said, yeah, I'm not sure. So I said, all right, well, I'll stay out of their way. I'll just go do an EMF sweep. And so I got some devices out, and I did a sweep of the house, and the EMF was like off the charts. I mean, it was the device was pegged almost everywhere I went.
Explain to the layman, me, what exactly an EMF is.
Right. So EMF stands for electromagnetic frequency, and essentially anything that generates electricity has an EMF signature to it. An electrical wire, an appliance, a CPAP machine, the computer, this board over here. Anything electrical will generate an electromagnetic field that sort of generates, out from where where the electricity is, like, and it'll bleed out a little bit. If you have really bad wiring in a house, like in this case I'm talking about, they had wiring that was like, it was an older house. It was not shielded properly. There were electrical lines going everywhere that were laying on top of the water lines. So you got like a hot wire laying on top of a copper water pipe. And every time they turn the water on, that's generating electricity and a little bit of a field, because moving water generates a field.
It's just a fire hazard at that point.
Yeah, that as well. And there was a little bit of mold. So I mean, there was so many issues, and the EMF was. I mean, I was uncomfortable there, and I'm not that sensitive to it.
You're like, I'm getting cancer right now.
But there are some people that like are so sensitive to it that they'll hallucinate, they'll get paranoid, they'll think they see things, they'll get skin rashes. Like, it's pretty crazy. Some people not sensitive at all, and it doesn't affect them.
So just from having the EMFs, like
yeah,
copper wiring and shit, there'll be people that'll go berserk, or they'll start feeling shit.
Yeah, and it makes sense if you think about it, because we're like just a giant bag of water that has electricity in it. And so if you're around another source of electricity constantly, like if you have your cell phone up to your head all the time, like that's going to affect you.
I'm more of a giant bag of cheeseburgers, but yeah, your point stands, I think.
Wet cheeseburgers, yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I'm fixated on this, but like, when you go in, first of all, do you get paid for this, or is this all voluntary?
No.
Okay.
No, it's all
so just for funsies. Cool. I like that. Like, how do you like, let's say you get called in to investigate a private residence. It's not a public fundraiser thing. Like, what is the process when you start interviewing these folks and trying to determine like that this may not be an actual haunting, that it's something else?
Okay. Yeah. So the first thing we do is we will send them our questionnaire, and that's going to have loads of questions, and it's going to be every kind of combination of question of like, who lives there, how many bedrooms are there, how many people are actually living there now, is there anybody there living there temporarily, is there any issues with plumbing, electrical issues, do you have any interest in the occult, do you practice the occult, do you have any interest in the paranormal, what's your interest in the paranormal, did this activity start when you moved into this house, or was this happening before and it followed you here? Have you always had these kind of activity going on in your life? Have you always had these experiences? It's all these different questions. And when they fill it out and send it back to us, like, there's certain things that will send up red flags. Like, for example, if it's a 2-bedroom house and they say there's like 5 people living there, we're like, okay, that's weird. So like, where are these people? You know what I mean? Like, that's weird. Where are these people?
Time to call ICE.
That's just Luis like eating cheese out of the fridge at 2 a.m. My cheese slices are disappearing too.
Yeah, and you just look through the questions. You just look for red flags, like something like, oh, wait, they say they answered this here, but they answered this here. Like that doesn't jive. Like that's weird. So we'll just make note of that, and then we'll call them up and have a follow up and just and ask them to verify these different things and just ask them like some further details on some of the questions. And then at that point, if we still feel like it's legit, we'll go out to the house and we'll bring like maybe a recorder and maybe an EMF meter, and that's pretty much it. We won't go there with the intent to investigate. And Beth will be there. She'll be trying to tune in. There is a lot of times where I'll show her the case. She'll look at the questionnaire. We'll like maybe Google Earth where the place is, like look at the house or the building or the business or whatever. She'll look at it. She'll start getting impressions sometimes, and she'll just start taking notes and writing stuff down, and which she won't share with anybody right away. And then we'll go there and just do like a walkthrough. You get face-to-face contact. You can tell a lot about somebody when you're sitting in front of them and they're telling you the story. And there's other people there and they're verifying things. And if they have any pictures or anything like that, then we'll go through that then. And we'll just go through the house and I'll take readings and stuff and just check the EMF right off the bat, because a lot of times that's an issue. And I'll be recording at the same time, and which I'll check later. And after that, if we feel like there's some activity legitimately going on, but we're not sure what it is, then we'll say, okay, we'll come back and we'll schedule an investigation. But we try to avoid that if at all possible. And 99% of the time, between the questionnaire, showing up and just doing what we call it the prelim, and just interviewing them face to face, the vast majority of the times we kind of have an idea what's going on already at that point, and we'll sort of diagnose and let them know. And our goal in that role is to debunk as many things as possible. And what I mean by that is, let's say there's legitimate activity. Let's say it's like a little residual thing. Like they hear footsteps every morning at 2:00 in the morning, right? That's creepy, right? But because that's happening, they're in the mindset that, oh my God, my house is haunted. And so like every little weird thing that happens, they're going to attribute to that. And like their fear is just going to ramp up and up and up and up. And it could be the vast majority of things going on there could be like, oh, there's a suction created when I open up this door, it pulls this door over here open. Well, if we can debunk that and demonstrate it for them, like, look, see, this is boom, boom, boom. Like, oh, cool. And like I've never had a situation where someone was pissed at me. Like when I explain something like that, they're usually like, right. Oh,
so
okay,
yeah,
cool.
that's
like,
what I was going to ask you.
It takes that off the board. You know what I'm saying? And it like gives them some relief. Like, okay, everything's not crazy. It's just maybe this thing. And it makes it more manageable for people. You know what I mean?
So after you quote unquote debunk things for people, do you ever get calls back and be like, nah, dude, I think there's actually something going on here?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's some follow-up calls sometimes. And again, the vast majority of the time, and Beth would handle this because she's great at talking to people and stuff. She was in the medical field for 20 years, so she's good at
delivering bad news,
like delivering bad news and calming people down.
Good bedside manner.
Good, exactly. She'll sometimes end up in like a kind of a psychiatrist role a little bit, you know.
I didn't sign up for this, but yeah.
It's and she's a medium too, so she gets it's like a hairdresser. You hear everyone's problems,
right?
But sometimes there's follow up and people not satisfied, but we'll have to at a certain point we'll have to tell them like, look, there is some kind of activity going on in your house. It's completely benign as far as we can tell. If that changes, let us know. But there's really nothing else we can do for you. I mean,
that's the nice thing about doing this for free.
Right. You're going to have to learn how to
you're like, sorry, but I can't spend any more time on this. This was all voluntary, right?
Yes, sir. You're not going to get your money back because you didn't give your money.
That's what we're thinking. We don't say that, but that's what we're thinking.
So, okay, let's do the inverse of that. Let's say you do think that there is activity going on. It's a legitimate, complaint or concern. What's the next step after you decide, yes, this is indeed a haunted house?
Burn
it. You're going to have to burn your house down. Hopefully you can do it on the slide to gather insurance money. We got ghost insurance.
Get a good payday with insurance. Yeah.
Hold on. Turn off the recorders. All right. You got to burn this shit. Yeah. So those cases are rare, but it does happen. And again, most of the time we don't need to investigate, because if there is legitimate activity going on, like Beth knows it before we get there, and we get there and we'll either catch something on the recorder, something will happen, we're there, we'll witness it. I don't know if it's because we've been doing it so long, we're more tuned into it, or I'm not really sure, but we could usually tell right away whether this is legit or not. And if it is, then at that point, it's usually like Beth might end up giving them a reading, because a lot of times she gets the impression that, oh, it's this grandma, or it's your dad, or it's your aunt, and they're just trying to get your attention. And I mean, I've seen her do this multiple times. It's like, it almost doesn't even surprise me anymore. She's giving people information that there's no way she could have known it. I've seen her do it so many times, and just have people just sob uncontrollably because they're giving information seemingly from someone who's passed away, stranger. Right?
Telling them all the stuff. Yeah.
We almost never have to investigate, honestly, for a private case, because it becomes like a counseling kind of a session, because it's if we can debunk some stuff and take some stuff off the table for them, it makes it more manageable for them. We'll give them some tools, like if you want to cleanse your house, like, like, say, oh, you're a Catholic. Okay, perfect. Go to your priest, get some holy water, or have them come out. You maybe make it a monthly thing, or every 6 months or whatever, come out, do a blessing, and if that makes them feel better, that will make the activity manageable. 100%.
Yeah. There's a great documentary directed by William Friedkin, who directed The Exorcist. I forgot what it's called.
And To Live and Die in LA.
But and To Live and Die in LA.
Yeah.
But basically, kind of the takeaway, the thesis of it is like we were talking about seeing things through certain like cultural lenses. It's like, yes, like by scientific lenses, many of these people that are possessed might be considered a schizophrenic, but if they're operating in a worldview of like traditional Catholicism, they can actually be tapped into, and the issue can be resolved through that more, I guess, spiritual lens or whatever that is, So I was going to ask, like, you answered my question for me. It's like, okay, let's say we do legitimize haunting. You would basically say, okay, what are your religious beliefs or whatever it is, and then maybe come up with a solution based on that, where it's almost like this, like, I don't want to call it a placebo, but it's almost like you're mind fucking the mind fuck in a way, if that makes sense. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I've had two tall boys. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, stop talking, Bobby. So have you ever had come across any malicious entities, like the Crooked Man, or the Slender Man, or the Bye-Bye Man? Or
the Bye-Bye. Or Mr.
That's one of them.
Have you ever come across Mr. Met? The San Diego Chicken.
Dr. Detroit, maybe? No.
Yeah.
Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem.
We got Muppet references.
Actually, someone asked me this question a couple weeks ago. And
about Dr. Teeth?
Yeah, no. It was about it wasn't even an investigation either. It was an individual I used to work with knew Beth and went to her and had some different energy healing things and stuff done, and so trusted Beth and was worried about her younger sister, and so they came to Beth, asked for her for help, and described the situation. And so Beth said, okay, well, meet me at my her mentor, basically the person that taught her stuff. She's one of the ones that would handle a lot of the more negative cases. And so she said, okay, well, meet us at their store. It's nearby. We'll meet you there, and we'll just give you like a consultation, and we'll just get, Beth's mentor and her, are both kind of just like reading the situation, knows the story. She comes in and spent some time with us. They did some shopping. They talked to us, and they're, started asking us questions about what they can do about this activity, because it's getting very, very intense. This individual was getting worried about her younger sister because her behavior was getting strange, and she would, like, sometimes she would not look herself or act herself. And so we go through this whole consultation, and it wasn't resolved at the end of it. And they decided they were going to leave. And so as they're leaving, They open up the door and they're just saying their goodbyes. And the younger sister turns around and looks at me. And I swear to God, it sounds batshit crazy. But she turned to me and I saw her teeth suddenly look like shark teeth. Like sawed to
Ooh.
look like jaws. Like in her whole mouth was just jaws.
From James Bond.
And
Yeah.
it was scarier than that. It was like you know, like
she's like eating a pipe and bending it. All right, sorry, I don't mean to make light of this traumatic situation. All
Shut
right.
up, tall boys.
it was like if you had taken a file to all your teeth into like little razors, and it was her whole mouth, top and bottom, was just like these jaws. And her face, her skin all looked like a different color, and her eyes looked weird. Like they weren't her eyes. It was a different color. It weren't black, but it didn't look like her at all. And it was like a quick flash, and then she turned around and walked out. And I was like, holy fucking shit. And
that's always comforting for the person to hear.
Right.
The client. Holy fucking shit! This wasn't an investigation though, right?
No, it wasn't. Like I waited for the picture, like the door shutting, the ding ding, and I'm like, holy fucking shit. and I saw Beth's mentor turn and look at me and just gave me that look, and she's like, yeah. And we spoke about it later, and she's like, I saw that too. That was fucking terrifying. I don't know what that was. I hope I never see it again. And this person was like investigating a place by herself and was repeatedly going back to this abandoned house.
Oh, so this girl was.
Yeah.
She was going to some creepy house.
And it's renowned for all this crazy activity, but she kept going there all by herself, and we kept saying, like, do not ever do that by yourself. Try to give her a lot of advice, but it was interesting, like all these events in her life, describing them later to us, it was like she would be walking to the house and like a tree branch would fall in front of her, and then she'd walk like 10, 20 feet and another tree branch would fall in front of her. And I was like,
that's never a good sign.
I'm like, that's just why do you keep going? Like,
that's your guardian angel trying to stop you.
Saying, bitch, get the fuck out of here.
Yes.
What are you doing?
Read the room, lady.
Yeah, exactly. And I honestly, I'm not sure. I don't know if that was ever resolved, the situation. I haven't heard from them. I'm not really sure what happened to it, but that's a scary shit I've ever seen.
I want to know if she's still possessed by Jaws.
Scary shit I've ever seen.
Demon. Yeah, that's fucking crazy. So what you're saying is, if you do go paranormally investigate legitimately fucked up places on your own, you could take it home with you.
I think so.
Yeah, that's a good question, Adam, because I mean, going back to what we were kind of saying about like your psychic susceptibility or your emotional susceptibility, the stuff you hear a lot about, like, yeah, we left that haunted house and then it just ended up following us. I'm like, that sounds like it's something coming from you. Maybe it's you this whole time in some way, or some relationship you have with this other realm or frequency or whatever.
Yeah, but I don't think the whole shark tooth thing is like hereditary.
No, that sounds like demonic shit to me. But either way, on that note, Michael, how much like credence do you put into if someone is into the occult per se, or like worshiping Satan, seances, Ouija boards, all that stuff? Does that have influence on these types of situations?
I think so. We did an experiment a couple of times in a couple different locations where we would go to an investigation with some other investigators, and they, a couple of them would find out, oh, Beth's a medium. Oh, you do seances. So we would do a seance experiment in the middle of the investigation. And there did always seem to be a spike in activity when the seance started. And it would, wherever activity was going on before that, seemed to increase while this seance was going on, and it would decrease when it was done. So, and we did that a few times, and it seemed to work.
Like what kind of activity? Like cold spots, sounds, EMPs,
footsteps, and EVPs
responses. Right. Yeah. Cool. I got one more question. Adam, do you have anything else for Michael before we let him get back to his? I just want to confirm that dog.
Yeah, I've had all kinds of questions, but you never stop fucking talking, Bobby.
That dog you're petting, Michael, that is not a ghost dog that you picked up on an investigation. That is a real flesh and blood.
That is a real dog.
Pet dog. All right.
This is a real.
And that
is real.
Adam, throw some lightning round questions to Michael there.
I had one, but then you made me forget with your stupid mouth. Shit, what was it? So, okay, yeah, the people doing like the spirit boards and shit. Okay, I know what it was. So I knew a guy, right? And he had like this curio museum at a local coffee shop here, and they had like little haunted, cursed relics and whatnot. And so one day, then it was all gone, and like I'm friends with the owner, and I was like, "What happened?" So she tells me the story about how this guy, she brought in like some cursed object or something because she like collects things that are, I don't know, cursed, haunted, whatever it may be, and he tried to steal it. So there was some place he would always go, I can't think of the name, somewhere here in Texas, that was like known for having ghosts in this place. Bobby has a gun. And then like all of a sudden he like stole something from there and left, and the owner of this haunted place said that the activity stopped and this guy had stolen the ghost from that place. Is it possible to steal a ghost from a locale and take it somewhere else? Or have you ever heard of anything like that?
I don't know if you can consciously say like I'm gonna go. Well, I honestly, up until fairly recently, this is about 2 or 3 years ago. Up until this point, this case, I never really put too much stock in like haunted items kind of a thing because I'd never experienced it. Even though I experienced some other stuff, I only believe in stuff I experienced. I can't say, I can't expand that to say like, oh, so therefore everything's real and everything is happening all the time. But I never really believed in haunted objects before this particular case. And
what was the object?
This woman was experiencing activity in this one part of her house that was at the end of her hallway. There were 2 bedrooms at the end of this hallway, and she was experiencing activity in each of those rooms primarily. And so we said, okay, well, there's something in this part of the house. Maybe somebody died in that room. Maybe, who knows? So we go there and we're investigating. We're doing the walk through the house, and we walk down that hallway. And as soon as we get to the end of the hallway, there's this little, looks like a plant stand. There's a plant sitting on it. And Beth turns to the homeowner and she goes, "What is that? What is that right there?" And the woman said, "Oh, that's an old shine box. They have this plant sitting on."
Go get your shine box.
Go get your fucking shine box, Adam.
Exactly. So she's like,
exactly.
She goes, "Where did you get that?" And she said, "Oh, I got it at this antique store, or whatever." And so you complete the rest of the walkthrough, and Beth was immediately on it. She was like, "There's something wrong with this. I think you need to get rid of that." And that's the only time we've ever experienced something like that. It's the only time I've ever heard her tell somebody to get rid of something in their house. But she said, it's weird. And then she started putting the timeline together. And shortly after she purchased this thing and brought it home, that's when the activity started. And the activity was happening in that part of the house, in those 2 bedrooms that were immediately adjacent to this weird little shine box.
To the Joe Pesci shine box, right?
Now, was it whoever owned that was pissed that she had a plant sitting on it, or was they pissed that she wasn't using it to shine shoes with it, or did somebody get murdered while they were using it? Like, who knows? There's no way for us
to
ever tell. But the woman got rid of the thing, and the activity stopped. So up until the point that we experienced that particular situation, I didn't believe in haunted objects, to be honest with you.
Right.
But there does seem to sometimes be connected to certain objects, and so if you take that object out of the space, the activity will stop.
I've always thought, like, I've always wanted to, because I carry like items around with me. I like having my little bling. Like, I have a switchblade and a chunk of silver I always carry in case I run into vampires. I wear all my rings and have sunglasses. I would like to haunt an item someday. You know what I mean? Like, I want to pass on my ghostliness through an item. Yeah, since you just, you didn't believe about it until it happened. You probably don't know how to go about doing that.
You got to make a Horcrux.
Ooh, he does know.
A Horcrux.
That's usually how you do.
Ooh, how do you make a Horcrux?
You have to kill someone.
Oh, well, shit. Well,
with a wand and green lightning.
Adam, I got a switchblade and a gun right now. Don't ever try to make your horror crux out of your friend Bobby.
I got a Godzilla.
Oh,
What do you think of that?
yeah, I could see you haunting a Godzilla toy one day.
But I have so many, it'd be hard to decide which one to.
Do
haunt.
you let women into your apartment, Adam?
Yeah,
They like your Godzilla collection?
yeah, actually they do.
Michael,
It's
what's
quite
your thoughts
impressive.
on Godzilla, the king of the monsters?
Panty dropper?
The best cryptid ever, in my opinion.
Fucking A right. Fucking
Cryptid,
A
okay.
right.
Adam, do you have anything else for Michael? I got one final question.
No, I think you answered my questions regarding you can haunt an object with a Horcrux and you can steal a ghost. So yeah, I've
Excellent.
blown my load, as it were.
Michael, how much one of the modern theories, I guess, I mean, it roots back to John Keel and Jacques Vallée about a lot of this is frequencies that some people are more in tune to than others, but there is a phenomenon happening. And a lot of people are starting to kind of combine forces with the UFO people, the ghost people, the cryptid people, the demon
people,
the skinwalker folks. They're few and far. Those are a weird bunch, the skinwalker folks, but they're out there. It all kind of overlaps, and I feel like the internet has allowed these different communities of the paranormal and high strangeness to kind of compare notes. And one thing I'm noticing in these worlds is like guys like I'm a big fan of this guy Nathan Gillis, is that his name? You know what I'm talking about? He's basically Nathan Lane from Mouse Hunt. He's basically saying like it's a phenomenon, whether it be like psychically induced, whatever cultural lens you view it through. One of his quotes is like, if you want it to be hooves and horns, it'll be hooves and horns. If you want it to be aliens, it can be aliens. If you want it to be ghosts, it can be ghosts. It's the same phenomenon, just like modeling different forms based on whatever it thinks you're going to respond to or something like that. So I guess my question is like, do you think that there is like an overarching phenomenon between all these different schools of high strangeness, or is ghosts in one camp, Bigfoot's a flesh and blood guy that's out in the woods, you got the Jersey Devil out there where you are, you got UFOs are from, you know what I mean? Like, are these distinct phenomenon, or is there some like thread that ties it all together?
I think I think about this often, and I think that if you're in a haunted asylum in the basement and you see a giant shadow pass by you, you're going to think, oh my God, it's a ghost. If you're in the middle of the Pacific Northwest, in the middle of the woods, and you see the same thing, you're going to go, holy shit, it's Bigfoot. If you see that in another context, you're going to think it's something else. I definitely think that there is something going on that we can't perceive most of it. Like, for example, if you ever look at the scale of the light spectrum, and you can see like ultraviolet here, and you got infrared here, and the
humans are like this.
The visible light spectrum is this tiny little strip in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And you've got all these other waves going up and down from what we can perceive. I personally think, like, I've seen, that Predator shit with that cloaking whatever shit. I've seen that.
Oh, you have?
Yeah. And
like the invisibility thing?
Yeah. And I mean, it walked right past me
in the woods?
And it was in a graveyard in the pine
Holy
barrens.
shit.
Whoa. Want some candy?
And
Predator 2.
Predator 2 reference. All right.
Now, what that was, I'll never in a million years guess. I have no clue.
It was a predator. It was a predator.
But that's what it looks like. And I've heard so many other people describe that same phenomena in different, either in the woods, in a house, and where, So I always go back to that light spectrum image because that puts it in perspective for me. The amount of that we can perceive is this tiny little sliver.
Like 0.1%.
Now we're getting into Lovecrafty and stuff now, Adam. Adam, you love Lovecraft.
On that. Well, I was just gonna say that like modern science it's existed for, let's just say, 1,000 years, if that, and like how far technology's gone in the last couple centuries is mind blowing. You know what I mean? Like, people used to think the world was flat, and some still do. But my point is, just because we can't measure, thoughts or measure. They still exist. You know, we don't have a way of looking at it on a spectrum. Same thing with all this shit. Like, we can't weigh a ghost, but that doesn't mean it's not there. You can't weigh an idea, but it doesn't mean it's not there. So there's so much shit the science just hasn't caught up to yet. And hopefully someday, you know, your paranormal investigations will be much easier because you'll have an app on your phone that's like, oh yeah, that's a
those are out there.
Oh, that's just a teenage girl. She's having her period for the first time, so it's causing shit to move in the house. You know, like maybe one day we'll have that. If technology keeps going.
Yeah, actually one last question I was going to ask you about this, Michael. Do you think like conventional science will ever be able to explain this, or is this just going to be a mystery for all of humankind?
I think we're never going to figure it out, and
we're not meant to. Maybe
I don't think we're meant to, and I think it doesn't. Science is great for certain things. Mathematics are great for certain things, but with this activity that we can sometimes perceive, but most of the time not, doesn't lend itself to scientific research. Like it's never repeatable. So there's no way to set up a theory and test it. Like, for example, Beth and I are in charge of this house right down the road in Burlington. We've been doing investigations there for like 4 years now. And it was a great opportunity because we got the opportunity to spend many Friday and Saturday nights in the same location over and over and over again. So we would run experiments to see like how repeatable anything was. Nothing was ever repeatable. And in fact, last year, right before this happened, 3 days in a row, right before the team showed up to investigate, Beth and I would get there and the caretakers would get there, open the doors. We would go in, turn lights on, get ready for the team. You know, during that time, there was this loud female voice that would echo through the house. It sounded like someone was like at the top of the stairs and yelled down, and you could hear it echo through the whole house. And it happened 3 times in a row. And I was like, what the heck? So the 4th time I was like, well, all right, so now from now on, I'm going to have a recorder running when I walk in the door, and I'm going to record for that whole portion of the setup until the team gets there. Cause I'm going to catch this voice and see what's going on. Immediately, as soon as I started recording, it stopped. And literally it hasn't happened again since then. And it's been over 1.5 years since then. So this stuff's not repeatable. So it's not, I don't think science is ever going to really get there. I mean, I hope one day it will figure more out, but I don't think we're ever going to figure it out personally.
Yeah. Science is gay. Okay, cool. One more time, Michael, where can folks find you and follow your work?
Yeah. So I'll be coming out with more episodes on the bunker. Very recently. If you search the Bunker Paranormal, you should find it.
Search that right now. I'll give you a follow.
I'm stoked about this New Jersey Devil series you're doing right now.
Yeah, this is a deep historical dive into the Leeds family, where they came from, what actually existed, who actually existed, and
what are your thoughts on Ogopogo?
I'm not sure what that is.
It's an obscure Canadian cryptid, I believe, or upstate, it's like a Loch Ness monster
creature.
Oh, you have to say Oingo Boingo.
I know. I think.
Right.
Oh, that's nice. I prefer Oingo Boingo over Ogopogo. Like,
I don't know. It's a toss up for me. It's a toss up.
I think
I'd like to see him. I'd go to that show, Oingo Boingo and Ogopogo together.
Oh wow. Aquatic cryptids are not high on my list of interests. It's just like anyway.
Yeah, same.
It's just, I don't know. See, we were talking about skinwalker folks are the weird ones.
But you said the best cryptid was Godzilla, and he's an aquatic cryptid.
Well, kind of, but he's not like a plesiosaur in some Canadian lake that nobody cares about.
Could be. We don't know.
Hey, this was a good first episode of
Fringe with Benefits.